Okay. Yeah, we are
Yeah,
live.
looks like live. Great. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Excellent.
So, hi everyone. Welcome to a brand new session of Creators on Air. This is Chilar from Newsletter Circle. In Newsletter Circle, I do creator interviews with successful Substack newsletter creators to talk about how they build their publications from scratch. Also, I'm sharing insights about how you can start, grow, and monetize your Substack newsletter. And today's live session, I'm with Fleur Hull. Welcome, Fleur. It's so great to have you.
Thank you, Chira, for having me. It's great to be online with you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, it's great for me as well. So actually, Fleur Hull is an author, book marketing strategist with more than 20 years of experience on writing and marketing area. She has written 2 best-selling nonfiction books while running, I think, 6 publications at the same time on Substack. I saw that you recently launched a few ones, and I don't know how you manage to run all these publications at the same time. This can be a whole dedicated, session to talk about actually. Um, but today we are here to talk about more about the Substack Bookstore newsletter and what we are doing with this publication. You launched this publication, and then Christina Gap joined you as a co-lead after a while, who was also a previous guest on Newsletter Circle. The Substack Bookstore is a growing hub where indie authors can list their books and also connect with each other. And it's not a typical newsletter that we are used to seeing in Substack, actually. I like to talk about this in a more detailed way, but maybe we can start with a basic definition of what self-publishing means, because you are helping in the authors who like to publish their books themselves, right? But what does self-publishing mean? Because it might sound interesting to some people who are not familiar with the concepts. Can I just write a book and then publish it by myself? How does it work?
Sure. Yeah, it's a part of the publishing landscape, I guess. And when people think about publishing, they might initially think about the traditional publishers like Penguin, Random House, Simon and Schuster, those sort of big publishing houses. And for a lot of authors, it's their dream to be published by what's called one of the big 5. So one of those big publishers where the publisher, you actually get an agent, a literary agent for your work. You have to convince them to take you on, and then they shop your book around to the various publishers to try and get your book published. And in that traditional model, the money flows from the publisher to the author. So the author gets an advance. It might be, if they're a small debut, they might get $5,000 or $10,000. But obviously, you see deals where, say, Prince Harry got millions of dollars for his ghost-written memoir. And it's a very long process to go through. It often takes people many years to get an agent, let alone a publisher. So self-publishing has exploded, and one of the statistics that I quote is that there are, in an average week, 70,000 books published on Amazon in the US alone. So a lot of people are publishing their own books, and that's across a whole spectrum of genres. Of course, there's the AI side of things. So some people are just quickly throwing books together with AI and putting them up. But there's also serious independent authors who, for whatever reason, either can't get a traditional deal or want to maintain control over the process themselves. And if you're truly self-published, it means that you take on the responsibility for publishing your book. It goes under your own imprint or your own publishing name, whether that's your name or a business that you have. And you pay, if you want, or you learn yourself, to freelancers and providers to pull the book together. So editing services, cover design, marketing services, publicity services, all of those things that are normally considered part of the traditional publishing houses' services to you as an author for taking most of your revenue.
Mhm.
So as a self-published author, you get all of your revenue after Amazon or whichever platform you're on takes their cut. And you have complete control over how much you spend, how much you change the book to fit the market's needs. Um, there is a type of publishing in the middle called hybrid publishing. And this is sometimes referred to as vanity publishing. And this is something that authors need to be aware of, self-published authors, because there are legitimate hybrid publishers who are more like small independent presses who will publish your book and provide you with some services for a reasonable fee. But there are
Mm.
also some predatory hybrid publishers who trade on uh, some independent authors' desire to get a traditional book publishing deal and tell the author that they will publish their book, that they've been selected from thousands of titles. And if you just pay us $20,000, we'll give you 500 copies of your book and get you in every bookstore and library. And some of these services never end up delivering on those promises. They take authors' money, they take their copyright. So that's my first piece of advice to people thinking about writing a book. If someone approaches you and offers you a book deal, I had a friend of a friend actually published a book on Amazon, and someone reached out and said, "We want to put this story on Netflix." And he was swept up in the idea that his book was going to be turned on into Netflix. So there's these sorts of people around who are trading on people's perhaps naivety about the process. But if you're self-published, you retain all of the control yourself. You may pay providers, freelancers to, as I said, provide those services to help pull your book together. But you retain the rights, you retain access to your own Amazon account, and control of how the book goes to market.
Yeah, it sounds so good when you say that the author can take all the revenue, etc. But then the problem is to make that revenue, right? This is the challenging part because when I check the Substack Bookstore newsletter in different parts, you mentioned that 81% of self-published books sell fewer than 100 copies. You also mentioned that there is an increasing number of self-published books, but probably the biggest challenge for these writers or authors is not writing the book, but to sell it and to promote it. And, it's even valid for Substack newsletters, for creators who'd like to make money with their newsletters. There is so much high quality content over there, but they are having difficulty in turning this writing into a money generator, right? Because it's about business and marketing. So first of all, I'd like to understand how you help in the authors to promote their books, and also the evolving role of Substack. Because Substack is not really old, and this is something that we start seeing more recently, like more in the authors also launching newsletters. And how does it work? How does having a newsletter help these indie authors to sell and promote their books?
Sure. So the there's two parts to that question, I guess. There's your question about the role, does what I do help authors? And the principal way that I'm doing that is through the Substack Bookstore, and that's as you said, not a regular Substack in that it doesn't post weekly content about X. It's more like a directory listing of authors who have subscribed to the Substack Bookstore.
You create
And every
You
Sorry.
created a shelf, kind of. You created an online shelf within Substack, right?
Yes,
Shelf.
yeah. Yeah, that's what I've tried to do. So there's no transactions that take place through Substack. All of the books are linked to a sales link for the authors, and free subscribers to the bookstore get one free listing in the general listings. And I tend to separate them into fiction and non-fiction. And then occasionally I pull out a few genres together and do a post with just a few genres to highlight those. And then paying annual subscribers can list up to 3 books, and they get priority listings and a link to their Substack profile and a longer description about their book to promote it. And then the top tier foundation subscribers, they get a featured listing. So they're at the top of the listing with a picture of their book. And they also get a bestseller campaign, which includes a post about their book. And readers may have seen some posts coming out. There's quite a few authors releasing their books at the moment. So I write a review / promotional post about their book that goes out to the 2.7K plus subscribers of the bookstore, as well as Christina God restacking that to her audience. So we're going to well over 20,000 people with those posts and notes that go out. And the idea is to try and drive a best-selling Amazon category #1 for the authors, and obviously get sales towards that. So they're the 3 levels, I guess, of support. We have actually had one of our free subscribers got a bestseller in her launch week after putting her book up on the Substack Bookstore. And when I look at the statistics for the bookstore listing pages, 100%, literally 100% of people going to those pages are clicking on at least one link. So people are there to browse books and see if they can find something interesting in the genres that they're interested in, which is great to see. So that's what the Substack Bookstore does. In terms of Substack as a place for authors to be, I think it's growing generally. I mean, it's a creator platform, so it only makes sense that authors, of course, would like to be there. What the feedback coming from some of the traditional publishers is that, and this has been for a while, that the authors need to have a platform of their own, whether that's on TikTok or Instagram or Substack. But of course, the advantage of the Substack platform is that you're gathering email addresses, which you can use to promote directly, and you're not relying on algorithms to reach your target audience.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to imagine how it works really in life. Imagine that I wrote a book, I like to self-publish it, and then I realized that Substack might help promoting my book. So where should I start? Should I first launch a Substack and build an audience, and I don't know, reach a certain number of subscribers, and then go and launch my book? Or do these should go hand in hand? So what is the strategy to you?
Yeah, I think, look, it depends on your goals, but, each author normally wants to sell as many books as possible. That's normally their goal. Um, I think in the perfect world, an author would start their Substack first. I think it gives sorry, my daughter's just getting in through the door. Um, it's home from school time here in Western Australia, which is fine.
the nature of this having lives, no problem.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. I think ideally, um, starting with a Substack is a great way to start your book project. I think because it helps you to hone your writing as you go along. It helps you to build the book in public and get feedback as you go along and talk about the book over a series of weeks and months or even years, and build interest in what you're doing, and get feedback from the audience. Oh, this chapter really resonated with the audience. Maybe I should dive deeper into this side of things, or I think my daughter's stuck getting in. So can you just
Okay,
hold 1 second? I'm sorry, audience. Sorry.
of course. Let's wait.
Sorry.
I was just checking the comments in the meantime. Uh,
So sorry. So sorry. Have we got
no.
some comments or questions? I'm happy to take those in the middle or keep going.
Yeah, someone was having trouble to read or watch. I was just trying to understand. Ah, subtitles. Is it possible to add subtitles? Yes, I was trying to understand. I'm a bit confused what to do, but I'm not sure whether it's possible to add subtitles because it's possible to add
Oh,
while publishing, but during the conversation, can you hear us properly? I hope
yes.
you
I think Substack puts the captions in afterwards.
yeah, Substack is improving the features really slowly. Unfortunately, it took I don't know how many months to get this live stream from desktop option.
Yes.
So it will come. Okay, yes, I will check it, and yeah, you can see subtitles hopefully, and let us know
On the
after you.
replay.
Yeah,
Yeah, on the replay. Yes.
uh, yeah. Where were
Okay,
we?
sorry about that. So where were we? So yeah, I think ideally starting with the Substack, building in public, building momentum, building interest in what you're writing, getting feedback on your writing, improving your writing as you go along through being in a regular schedule of writing on Substack. And then I think many of the authors that I work with use their Substack audience to find beta readers, which are readers who provide early feedback on the book itself. So developmental feedback, or there's a hole in the plot here, or this character changed name in chapter 11, or those sorts of things. And then also what's called ARCs, or advanced reader copies. So authors are using their Substack list to find people to read their book early and be ready to leave a review in the early days after they release their book. And then, of course, just having the audience to sell your book to when you launch. I think that's if you're self-publishing. If you're wanting to go with a traditional publishing house, then I think you need to think about having an audience into the thousands to impress a literary agent, and a publisher in terms of your ability to reach a larger audience. So yes, Substack definitely helps, and I think the earlier you start, the better.
Yeah, from what I hear from what you're saying, Substack has like two main roles. First one is the audience helps authors to shape the book and to improve the book with all the feedbacks. It's kind of a write in public exercise. And the second one is then promoting it to an existing audience. Uh, but for the first one, I'm wondering how it works as well. I mean, do they share some previews and chapters from the book? Something like that?
That's what many authors are doing, and some are even serializing their novels or nonfiction books, um, and offering the full version to paying subscribers, so monetizing their book that way, or providing the early version, I guess, of the book and using the feedback to shape it and then turn it into what becomes the final version. So there's obviously going to be an element of risk involved in putting your book out there in a serialized form on Substack. Certainly in terms of traditional publishing, they they're less likely to want to pick up your book if they feel like it's already been published elsewhere, unless, you're getting 100,000 likes on every article, then that's obviously very strong social proof.
Mhm.
And you may lose buyers because they feel like, well, I've read it already over the past 8 months while you've serialized it. So then you lose buyers on launch day because they felt like they've already read it. So it needs to be you need to be very strategic about it and, find a balance between how much you reveal to the audience along the way, while still getting that feedback to help you launch the most successful book.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, if an author starts Substack from scratch, building a newsletter is also difficult by itself, right? So, because then they will also face this challenge. I mean, how to grow on Substack, how to build an audience without having an audience elsewhere. So, first they need to deal with this. And then after publishing the book, as far as I know, I'm not really well informed about this, but publishing agencies support the author with all these book tours, etc., right? With all this promotion phase. But if you self-publish a book, you need to deal with all this promotion phase, and maybe you need to organize all these activities by yourself. So, how does it work for a self-published?
Yes. Yes. Well, I think the point to make is that the amount of support provided by the big publishing houses for a debut, relatively unknown author, even one with a decent platform on Substack or another platform, um, is not what it used to be. Many authors have had to, who are with traditional publishers, have had to arrange their own book tours, and they're expected to take on a heavy load of the marketing anyway. So it's not if you're Stephen King, obviously you get a lot of support because the publisher knows that their investment pays back. But if you're a debut author, then they're taking a risk on you. And so there may not be as much support in that. So either way, whether you're self-published or traditionally published, you're going to have to take a load of marketing onto your own shoulders and learn a whole lot, or else pay someone else to help you do it, across all the different ways that you can market your book. So it's a big burden for authors, and I'm on the self-publishing Reddits, subreddits on Reddit, and I did an analysis for one of my articles on my author growth Substack, and it showed how much of an issue marketing and selling was for self-published authors. They just want to get their book out there. They want to write, and just enjoy their craft. They don't want to get, caught up in all of this business stuff. And unfortunately, it's just the nature now of and the reality that there has to it's a very rare case where someone takes off and goes to the moon with their book without a serious investment of time and or money in the marketing of their book.
Yeah, this is where you come to the picture actually, right? To help them with all these business side and marketing side.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So I do that as my, I guess, day job in consulting and providing marketing and publishing advice to authors. But then some of it is rolled into the various tiers of the publications that I run. And you mentioned that I have 5 or 6 Substacks. I have ADHD, and so I'm always thinking of new ideas. And so when I have a new idea, I think, oh, there must be, we need a Substack for that. So, for instance, there's a Substack called Free Books First, which is designed for authors who want to get either beta readers or those early advanced reviewers. So I matchmake, I guess, through that Substack. And yeah, and so authors can access services through the Substack subscription model, or contact me directly, and I can do sort of an a la carte offering of different services, and coaching, accountability, um, helping them get their cover designed, getting their cover tested with which of these covers works better, all of those sorts of things that are involved in getting a book, and marketing planning, which is critical as well.
yeah, I can imagine that this all cases are unique, right? The strategy, the marketing, business strategy should be unique to each book and for each author. But just to make it a bit easier to understand and maybe to get some actionable tips and tricks. Again, imagine that I wrote a book and I have no audience as far, and I discovered Substack, realized that it can help me. I launched my Substack, but it's also difficult to grow on Substack. But first, I'd like to do it. So, what should I do to grow my Substack? Which features should I maybe more lean on? Like, for example, repurposing the content on notes, or maybe getting in touch with my initial subscribers on chat. I mean, how do this type of creators can grow their newsletters?
I think most of the general principles for growing a newsletter apply to authors as much as any other creator. But the number one thing that I speak about with all of my authors, whether it's about creating their Substack or writing their book, the first thing I recommend that they do is a thorough audience analysis. So actually really thinking about, who am I talking to with this book or this Substack, and drilling down into what it is that type of person wants from what you're creating.
Mhm.
And once you have a clear idea of what that audience member wants, or that type of audience member, and it's not just women 24 to 48, who are, working mums. It's actually thinking about the psychology of what drives their purchasing decisions, and studying the competition in your niche. So actually really getting to know the other books that are in the categories and niches, that you're in, and same with Substack, getting to know the people who are creating things along similar lines that you are, and looking at what works for them,
Mhm.
seeing what the genre tropes are, like the customs, the ways that people behave as buyers and as sellers in that market.
Mhm.
That's the number one piece of advice. And then I think in terms of Substack, as you would know and would have heard so many times from the creators that you've interviewed over the time, over the number of however long you've had your Substack, is the usual stuff: being engaging, commenting, liking, um, thanking people when they comment on your posts, being generous with your time, investing time in building your Substack, um, and I think if
Collaborating,
you
yeah, collaborating with other writers.
collaborating, yes, yeah, and getting recommendations, yeah, all those things. But I think with that understanding of your audience, a lot of that flows more freely because you're not just coming up with an idea in your head and thinking, I want to write a book about X. Off I go. You're actually really thinking about the drivers of consumer behavior in your niche and using that to work out who to collaborate with, how to engage, where the people are found, not just on Substack, but perhaps on other platforms that you can drive to your Substack, all those things.
Mhm. Do you think Substack helps nonfiction authors or fiction authors more, or both? I don't know.
It's a really interesting question. Yeah, that's fascinating. I feel like the most successful Substack creators are creating nonfiction content,
Mhm.
but there's obviously some very successful fiction authors as well on there, and many of them already had a name off the platform before they came on. In terms of the Substack bookstore, we get about 70% more engagement on our fiction listings than our
Mm.
non-fiction listings.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and more fiction listings than non-fiction listings as well. So more fiction authors want their books listed in the Substack bookstore, and more readers are looking for fiction on the Substack bookstore.
Mm. I wasn't expecting to hear that. It's a surprising insight for me. And just, I think I missed it. How many books did you list so far on the Substack bookstore?
So I just did another update and I can't remember the numbers exactly, but I think we've got around 260 or 280 fiction books. And
Mhm.
I can't remember non-fiction. I think it's around 140. I think, but someone will tell me I'm wrong when they count them up. So yeah, there's well over 250 authors, I think, represented on the Substack bookstore, and obviously some of them have multiple titles that they've listed.
Mhm. So, can you share one interesting success story of an indie author you helped through the Substack bookstore? Something to
Oh,
share.
look, I've had
Like,
so many fantastic authors that I've been able to work with, and I've been doing this now for 5 years, helping authors. But I was very late to get on Substack myself, even though I was recommending the authors I work with to get on Substack. So I only came on to Substack in March this year, which was very late, but managed to build something that people, it resonated with people. So I put my books. I brought some of my books of my authors here to show everyone. This is Decode Your Diagnosis by Paul Cobbin, and he got to bestseller with that one. I think one of the first bestsellers we got was Gunnar's Happy Habits.
yeah, I
And
always posting about it.
yes, yes. And then the most recent bestseller we got is Latimer Redlance's Gutter to the Stars, which is a very gritty Gen X memoir. He writes on Substack under the name Obsidian Blackbird. And He's loving it at the moment. He just launched last week, and his book is beating out, outselling people like Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, Nick Cave, all sorts of other musical biographies. He's number one still in the US on Amazon. So I've worked with him for about 5 months and done a full service offering for him, including uh, yeah, feedback on the cover, like the whole service for him. And he's based in Florida, but he's originally from New Zealand. So yeah, we tested the cover. We uh, I helped him online. I would do calls with him on a regular basis to help him upload to Amazon and to Ingram Spark to get his paperback launched as well, which is another online book provider. And then ran the campaign for him, gave him a full marketing plan right from the beginning, so that helped, which included ideas for Substack posts, ideas for his Instagram content. We did a big press release that went out to, I think, an audience of over 10 million people. So yeah, the full service, and that's what's helped him. Yeah, and the sales are still rolling in.
Yeah, at the time of the launch, how many subscribers did he have on his Substack?
I'm not sure, to be honest, but I think less than 1,000. But
Ah,
a
really?
very engaged audience. I'm
So he,
sorry if I got that wrong, Latimer. It may be 1.4, maybe one. I've got so many authors
yeah,
platforms running around
I
in my head.
yeah, I can
Um,
check it, but I
but
think
yeah, it's not like 8,000 or anything like that. He's just got a very, very loyal following.
yeah, would you like to share such a message that it's not about the size of the list, but it's about building a really highly engaged and targeted list of audience when it comes to creating a newsletter before publishing a book, right? Because we are all, when it comes to regular newsletters, we are all bombarded with, you know, grow, grow more, grow faster, reach that milestone, 5K, 10K. But I think it's a bit different in your case, right? The
It
engagement is,
is.
yeah.
It is. And I think what really counts is having a strong positioning in the market and a strong point of view, depending upon your genre. I think um, uh, sometimes being controversial works for people. It helps draw people in. I think, being different in your category um, draws people's curiosity. Obviously, writing well is a big part of it. But yeah, Latimer proves that a really highly engaged audience, and he's already got, after like 5 days since launch, he's got, I think, over 20 reviews on his book. He ran a really clever advanced reviewer copy campaign, which we helped him with in the bookstore with Free Books First. And he's in it for the long haul. So he obviously is thrilled with the bestseller, but he's also in this for the long term. And so he wants us to sustain momentum over time and keep selling books for many years to come. And
Mhm.
he really is such a character. He's led such an interesting life. It is a fascinating read.
Yeah, great. So, apart from this, yourself, you're also a successful newsletter creator, yourself running multiple publications, as I mentioned. So, this is a question that I ask everyone that I interview when it comes to building a Substack newsletter, based on all these experiences you gathered throughout this period. what would be your single piece of advice to aspiring new creators when it comes to
Yeah,
building?
I knew that you always ask this. And I've got two, but because you said single, I'll give you one. I think number one. Okay, number one, I think, is go into it with a generous spirit. Be giving before expecting to take. Um, and then from a, I guess, technical point of view, I don't think anyone can disagree with this. Get on notes, be active, notes every day. I'm guilty at the moment. I'm so busy with authors, I'm not writing enough notes, but um, notes is absolutely the path to getting subscribers. So have a really solid notes strategy. Get involved if you're in early. Get involved in some of the notes challenges or note sharing that some creators provide for their audience, and grow your audience that way.
Yeah, I think for now we all know that notes is great to grow, but many people uh, are struggling to find time maybe to post on notes because hosting alone is not helping as well. You need to engage with other notes. You need to leave some thoughtful comments, not the comments just for the sake of leaving comments, like saying great advice, thank you, etc. But really thoughtful comments, and it takes time. And also, you know, most creators are building their newsletters alone by themselves. So there is no accountability, and it's difficult to stay consistent as well. Do you think that, I don't know, for example, if I launch a notes challenge like for 30 days, a small group of people, um, who will accountable for posting consistently and maybe support each other, etc. Would that help? What would help people to post more consistently?
I think the various notes challenges um, vary in their success. And one of the challenges, I think, with some of the notes challenges, especially from the really large creators, is that so many people are posting their notes. By the time you go to post your note, 500 other people have posted theirs. You can't possibly scroll back through all of those and comment on all of those notes or restack them, and then also people coming in later. You might have been one of the early ones, and then they don't see your note, and so the most successful one that I saw run, and I don't know whether he'll do it again, but was Tom Kugler from the Writing Long Game.
Yeah.
He ran the Notes Underground, and he set it up in a way that the notes, there was some manual work involved. You had to upload your note to the platform, which everyone had subscribed to as a paid subscriber. And then you categorized your note under the main categories.
Mhm.
So then people could go to the notes on business and finance and just comment on those because that's their niche and that's the audience they're looking for. So it was segmented and it was so successful. And I think I got 2 or 3 viral notes as a result. I think mainly from the momentum of the early commenting from that cohort of people that was in that challenge.
Mhm.
But as I said, I don't know whether he's going to run that again. I'd love him to. I think it's a great way for people to get their notes seen and interacted with. But the general notes challenges, I think it just it gets a lot. It's a lot of work.
Also, I mean, I totally agree that there is no meaning to comment on a note which is from an irrelevant niche that what you are writing about. So it should
Yeah,
be.
so you're scrolling through trying to find, what your interests are and what your audience's interests are in terms of cross-pollinating, I guess, and finding people. So, yeah, Tom did it really well. If he doesn't do it again, I think someone who's clever and can code should set this up, because it really was, it was very, very special.
Shout out to Tom. I also had a
Yeah.
chance to interview him, by the way. You can find the full written interview on Newsletter Circle if you're interested in. And I think he's really successful in writing this short form posts as well, because he also did similar thing on LinkedIn, etc., and on Notes. He has this craft, ability to crafting short form content, because I think it's a different talent, right? Uh, Sometimes it's easier to write longer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
Yes.
writing such a short pieces, showing your thinking, etc., is also a difficult one. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. He's very good at that.
Would you like to add anything? I think because these are all my questions for now.
Um, can I do a little promo?
Of course. Go ahead.
I'd like to just let everyone know about our book that's coming out. Christina God and I are writing a book on Substack for authors. We hope to get it out this year, but we're both working mums, and with family stuff, it just hasn't happened. We'll get it out at some point next year, but yeah, we're looking forward to releasing that and having a guide that is interactive and can help authors find their way on Substack and make it work for them.
Mhm.
So check it
Great.
out.
If you have any link, please share it with me. Just for people to see a preview or something of this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I will. I will. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So thank you so much for joining me today. I think what we are doing is really valuable, and also it's really aligned with the advice you provided. Your audience, what they need, and you are serving a specific niche with a really targeted service and content. I think this is the really essence of building a successful newsletter publication on Substack. It all starts from there. So it was great to hear your journey. I will share also a written summary with the key takeaways from our conversation today. So stay tuned.
You.
And also, Ian, I will also tag you and let you know. Don't worry. There was some for this. Yeah, thank you so much. It was a great pleasure to meet you. And let's stay in touch.
Yes, absolutely. It was my pleasure too. Thank you so much for having me on, Chilla, and look forward to staying in touch, and happy holidays to everyone.
Yeah, the holiday period is about to start. So also I'd like to thank you everyone who joined us today. Stay tuned for the written summary as well. And see you soon.
Bye bye, everyone. Thanks, Chilla. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you so much, Fleur.
Thank you. Bye.